welcome to my channel. In this episode, we'll take a look at what's blooming in my African violet garden in the month of February of 2021. And this time I will try to film them all in one shot. The African violet standards, the miniatures and semi-miniatures, and some other Gesneriad plants. Far back here is a mini greenhouse. It's a domed propagation tray that has vents here, and even with the vents half open, there is a lot of condensate inside. But that's okay because African violet babies love elevated humidity, and some of them even start blooming. Here we have two bubble gardens with epicea plants that I already showed previously in my epicea tour of 2021. This one is called Pink Smoke, and it has very beautiful leaves with pink top and light sage green colors on them. And they like growing in the terrariums. And this one is Cleopatra, and it's blooming right now. It likes growing in the bubble, I noticed. And there is some terrarium moss planted around it. Very bright red flowers, orangey red flowers with yellow throat. This is a vintage variety called Double Black Cherry, finishing blooming. And also finishing the blooming cycle is Deo Marzipan by Olga Aksionkina. It's a Russian hybrid. It has creamy cream flowers that are double, and they look like marzipan roses. Next to it is a vintage variety by Iredome called Lullaby, with beautiful two-tone blue blooms and very unusual and interesting shape of the petals. It's an easy grower too. I highly recommend it. Behind it is a Russian hybrid that is growing using a top watering method. So these are the first blooms, and the bloom stalks are not strong enough to support the blooms of this size. It's a Russian hybrid by Елена Korshunova called EK Morской Volk or EK Sea Wolf. And I will show you another plant also blooming at the end of the next shelf that is grown on a wick in the second blooming cycle, so you can see the difference. Here is my favorite Anne. It's a vintage standard by Betty Bryant. This is the first blooming cycle of Frosty Cherry, or in the native language it's called Морозная Вишня by Konstantin Moryev. It's a Russian hybrid, and it started blooming in cooler temperature in the 60s of Fahrenheit, so most of the blooms are white with just a little of crimson mottling on the petals. And in the summer it blooms with more crimson color. Also very large blooms. Now going into the next shelf, here is one of my favorite Buckeyes, Buckeye Scrumptious by Pat Hancock. I got this variety from Violet Barn. I think it was in 2019 when I just started growing them. I love the blooms for their color, and they're very full double, And they also have beautiful frilled light edge and beautiful foliage variegation. It's a larger growing standard. Behind it is Apache Midnight. It's one of my favorite dark purple varieties, and it's finishing blooming right now. It had many more blooms, and they are very, very dark purple with some white frilled edge. And this is a standard by JC and Lenora Monk. Beautiful variegation on leaves as well. Next to it is a variegated standard trailer by Harris called Ellie Gardner. I got it as a gift from Fancy Bloomers, and I'm very excited to have this variety in my collection because it's not often seen variety, and I didn't realize how beautiful the variegation was on this particular hybrid. And it only showed prominently now in the winter growing temperatures. Beautiful bright pink blooms as well. Here is a favorite of many, Rose Bouquet by G.T. Smith. And I still don't know the proper name of this hybridizer. I know the last name Smith, but I don't know if GT stands for initials or that's just the name. So if you guys know about the name of the hybridizer, please do share in the comment section. I really appreciate your help. This is one of the standards that has mosaic variegation on leaves and very beautiful rose shaped, pink colored, very full double blooms. Next to it is another favorite Buckeye, Buckeye Seductress by Pat Hancock, and it's blooming nicely right now. Beautiful variegation on leaves, and the blooms are lavender with some white and green edge on them. Then behind it is a new hybrid for me. It's a 2019 release by Ken Mozelewski called Hunter's Elk Ivory. Absolutely stunning. I'm very impressed. The blooms are very beautiful. They are really ivory pink with some frilled green edge. And this is the first blooming cycle, so the rosette is not really very mature yet, so it's still I'm still looking forward to seeing its full potential. But look at the color of the variegation on leaves and how it matches the color of the blooms. It has pink variegation with dark green and beautiful ruffled blooms. I'm truly excited. I got this particular variety from Linda's Secret Garden. Next to it is a Ukrainian hybrid by Елена Libetska called L.E. Седой Graf or L.E. Gray-Haired Duke. Beautiful variegation on leaves, and the color of the blooms is really amazing. It's like grayish purple with some very frilled green edge. And the blooms are lasting such a long time. It's been blooming for over a month now. Very interesting hybrid. Here is another Buckeye that I truly adore. It's called Buckeye Nostalgia. And I'm not an expert in growing, so this is just my learning experiment, how symmetrical and how large this rosette can grow. And the variegation on leaves is really amazing. And I'm growing two of these plants, one in in the top watering pot, and this is the one. It's not on a wick like my other plants. And another plant is on another shelf and it's growing on a wick, and both of them are blooming right now. The blooms are very light blue, semi-double I believe, and they're very beautiful, dreamy African violet blooms. Next to it is the second plant of the Eka Morской Волк, or EK Sea Wolf, that is having a second blooming cycle, and it is growing on a wick. So the blooms are very heavy, but as you can see, the bloom stalks are stronger than on another plant, and maybe it's because it's the second blooming cycle. But look at these blooms. Truly amazing petal work on these, and the frilled edge, very, very elongated, beautiful blue color, well, kind of purplish blue. As we know, it's very hard to accomplish the true blue color, but this is very close to blue. So lots of blooms on this plant, and it is finishing blooming right now. And also finishing blooming is Cajun's Dixie Pride, one of my favorite Cajuns. It has very full double pink blooms with some variable raspberry edge and beautiful variegation on leaves. I love this hybrid. And this is a new variety for me called Water Dancer by Paul Serrano of Linden Lion Greenhouses. This is a very young plant. I got it from Fancy Bloomers last year, and I like it for the very magnificent dark green foliage with some red reverse. Beautiful dark red color, look at this. So pretty. And the blooms are also very pretty. They are single pansies that are kind of purple, lighter purple or lavender in the center, and they have dark purple ruffled edge around each petal. And here is the last shelf in today's video, where I've assembled different sizes of African violets, standards, miniatures, and semi-miniatures. And I also have a semi-miniature trailer variety here, a sport of Sank's Arctic Fox blooming, and a Streptocarpus. And in the interest of time, I'll just put some music on the background and add the captions to the video describing the names of the varieties.